year long. So teams are going to do what it takes to win football games, and I think that's what they're going to come in the game doing this week, is trying to do whatever it takes, and that's the same attitude that we have to take. We can't worry about statistics at this time. We just got to go out there and try to find a way to win the football game.
Today from Candlestick Park, it's the New York Jets versus the San Francisco 49ers. Brought to you by...
Sold out 60,000 to see the New York Jets and the San Francisco 49ers, two teams who have high hopes for a playoff spot upcoming. We're down to the final 3 games of the season. Hello, everyone. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen for the New York Jets. The good news is apparently New England is going to lose to Cincinnati. A Jets win puts them in first place alone in the AFC East today. Joe Walton, the only winning coach in Jets football history. Sammy Baugh, the very first Jets coach, Titans coach, if you will, was 14-14. Walton has been a winner with the Jets, and he's 10-3, although losing the last 2 games. Bill Walsh, considered one of the most cerebral of head coaches in the National Football League. His team lost a heartbreaker to the Giants on Monday night, and he said perhaps the most difficult defeat he's ever absorbed here. Uncharacteristic to his 49er team that usually is strongest in the second half. He's trying to rally his troops. 3 straight wins to close out the year. He knows he's in the playoffs. But as one reporter put it, they are out. San Francisco are out of affordable defeats. We're underway. The Jets will get it first as Wersching drills it deep. And the Jets will bring it out to the 20 on the touchback, Bobby Humphrey. And there's Al Toon, the brilliant second-year man from the University of Wisconsin out of Newport News, Virginia. 74 catches, tied with Jerry Rice. Todd Christensen leads the NFL. But those are the 2 top wide receivers. Ken O'Brien, the quarterback, #1 in NFL passing efficiency. Freeman McNeil appears to be healthy. He's been picking up over 100 yards per game in his last 5. And there are the men who are blocking in front. Sweeney, Banker, Fields, Alexander, and King. O'Brien goes to Toon, incomplete, right out of his hands in front of Tim McKyer, number 22, the rookie left corner. Of course, the 49ers much publicized with those 2 first-year men at the corners, McKyer and Griffin. And here's the rest of the defense. Tuiasosopo for the injured Jeff Stover will start at left end. Michael Carter, the silver medalist shot putter in the '84 Olympic Games, on the nose, and Dwayne Board, a tough pass rusher. McCall, Ellison, Fawnhorst, and Turner are the linebackers. McKyer and Griffin, the rookies, at the corners. Carlton Williamson and Ronnie Lott, 2 hitters at safety. 2nd and 10 for O'Brien. Play action. Wants to go deep. Has to throw it away. In the area was Mickey Schuler, the tight end.
One of the things the Jets need to do today, and it's obvious they've started out with it, is to open that offense up. Only 3 points in each of the last 2 ball games, and an offense that had been averaging 27.5 points per game for 11 games during the early part of the season. So they've got to get this offense back on track. They obviously want to use Toon. They've gone to him early here, and I think wanted him on the second play as well.
Bert Sohn, number 87, comes in as a 3rd wide receiver. 6 defensive backs for the 49ers. Shotgun O'Brien. And he's hit as he tries to deliver the ball. As crashing through was the rookie Larry Roberts, number 91 from Alabama. And 3 passes are incomplete for the Jets. And the 49ers will get the ball.
Not the way the Jets had envisioned starting this game, as you see O'Brien under pressure by the rookie from the outside. Roberts, number 91, as you mentioned, streaked from the outside. Nobody touched him.
Don Griffin, who returned to punt for a touchdown against Atlanta, stands back at the 42 as Dave Jennings, the veteran former Giant, will kick it for the Jets. His net has been outstanding, one of the best in the league. It's a dying spiral. Fair catch. Griffin at the 41, fumbles the ball and covers it back at the 39. That was San Francisco, and now we'll see their brilliant 2nd-year wide receiver, number 80, Jerry Rice from Mississippi Valley State. Tall and lanky and glassy moves has Rice, and he too with 74 catches. The veteran Joe Montana back from the back surgery at the quarterback spot. Wendell Tyler with a bum knee joins Roger Craig in the backfield. Dwight Clark, Jerry Rice on the outside. Tight end Paris returns as the starting left tackle Ayers, Quillen, Cross, and Fawnhorst on the front line. Wendell Tyler. And the veteran is crashed to the turf at the 45-yard line after a pickup of 6. Harry Hamilton, number 39, on the stop. Ben Rudolph, Tom Baldwin, Barry Bennett, and the all-new defensive line with the injuries that struck Lyons, Klecko, and Gastineau. Jackson, Clifton, Crable, and Gilboa are the linebackers. Jerry Holmes and Russell Carter at the corners, and Lester Lyles and Harry Hamilton, they too known for their tough hitting at safety. Francis and Frank, 2 tight ends in for San Francisco. Roger Craig, 50, 40, caught from behind and fumbles, and San Francisco recovers at the 24-yard line. Bob Crable made the hit.
They're saying he was down, Dick, and that the ball bounced loose after Craig hit the ground. Roger Craig has been bothered by a hip injury all year long, and Craig is finally healthy for the first time today. Here's a chance to watch Craig in action, that high stepping action that is typical of his running style. 49ers have not been able to break the running game going. You see the ball bouncing loose after he struck the ground.
24-yard run by Craig. First down at the Jets 31. Montana's first throw. Complete to Francis, the tight end, at the 25-yard line. A gain of 6. Joe Montana from Notre Dame. Third-round draft pick in 1979. Of course, the much-publicized back surgery. He had over 10,000 get-well cards, and he said when he came out of surgery, boy, could I use some pizza, and over 30 different pizza outfits here in the Bay Area delivered. A remarkable story, and Montana at the helm. 2nd and 4, Tyler. Close to a first down at the 21-yard line.
Tyler was unable to practice all week long. A good performance last week after being activated. Averaged a little over 4.5 yards a carry, but has had a knee that tends to blow up after exertion. And the other thing is, he is not really in football shape. Laid off for a few weeks and didn't get fat or anything, but the body needs to be tuned to this game.
Tyler with over 6,300 yards rushing in his career with the Rams and the 49ers. Inside the 21, and that would be a first down.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him. No, not going to measure. Indeed, they give him the first down.
And now they're not going to spot it inside the 21.
The Jets have done a good job of shutting down the pass, or the run, but they are 28 in the league against the passing game.
In the league, and they've allowed 28 touchdown passes. First down, 49ers. Flag down. Montana dumps it off to Francis. Russ Francis to the 1-yard line. Touchdown. They say he went down of his own accord, not from contact, and the touchdown signal is given. We welcome those of you that have been watching Miami and New Orleans to Candlestick Park, San Francisco, where there's no score. The Jets on the opening kickoff, 3 incomplete passes, punted to the 49ers, who have now marched down deep into Jets territory, and now a penalty will call back.
First down.
We'll call back a pass play from Montana to Francis that went to the 1-yard line, and then Francis rolled into the end zone, and now they've marked it back to the 26-yard line.
Francis does not yet have a touchdown on the year. I'm sure frustrated that they take this one away from him. Now, does he go down because of the contact? Yes. I think he does there. I don't think that's a correct call by the official. It's all goes to the wayside anyway. They're going to mark it back. They're going to have another shot at it. 1st and 15.
Wendell Tyler for a yard to the 25-yard line. Lester Lyles, number 26, matching Tyler's numerals, makes the tackle. Let's look at the other scores. A final in, the Giants now with more than a game advantage over Washington because they've beaten the Redskins twice. So the Giants looking good going toward the playoffs. Cincinnati, a big upset brewing in New England. That has implications, of course, on this game. Chicago wins big. Kansas City surprising Denver. Montana underneath. Jerry Rice, his first catch, his 75th of the season. He'll be short of the first down, picks up 11 on the play. Minnesota, if they win, they're 8-6. San Francisco starts 7-5-1, and Pittsburgh 10 in front of Detroit. St. Louis and Philadelphia in overtime. Indianapolis trying to break that losing habit. Ron Meyer, the new coach, and they've rallied to take the lead at Atlanta in the fourth quarter. Rice to the right. Clark to the left. Big 3rd and 3 at the 15. Montana being chased, and that's going to be intercepted in the end zone by Jerry Holmes. Montana pressured by Harry Hamilton as the blitz on the quarterback of the 49ers, and he did not make a good choice on that throw.
He didn't, and of course Rice has no chance at the ball. He's trying to react to the scramble, just trying to work inside. That's Holmes, who alertly picked out the ball in flight and made the easy interception. But Montana, I think, just hoping he'd get a great reaction from his receiver. That ball obviously should not have been thrown, and that's one that they will discuss immediately on the sideline.
Jerry Holmes with his 5th interception, matching Johnny Lynn and Lester Lyles for the club lead. O'Brien. Somebody should be open, incomplete out at the 35-yard line. With all that time, a receiver could not break free for O'Brien. Let's go to NFL 86.
All right, Dick, in Atlanta, Rick Donnelly of the Falcons is back to punt, and Tate Randall breaks through and blocks it. It's recovered by Eugene Daniel, who runs 13 yards for the touchdown, and under new coach Ray Meyer, the winless Colts lead 28-23 with 9 seconds left.
Colts, of course, trying to avoid tying an NFL record for futility. 14 straight losses that would match Tampa Bay. 0 for 4 is O'Brien, and finally stays on the ground, and he gets a flag and no gain anyway. Michael Carter, number 95, the nose tackle, leading that red charge. Backfield in motion, the call by the referee Wyant, and with little gain, we would guess that this will be declined, and you see the signal by Keena Turner.
Illegal motion, 2 men moving, decline, 3rd down.
Joe Walton on the sideline. His conversation with us very simple. We're self-destructing offensively. Good example of it right there. So far, Jets offense unable to get on track on the day. They've started out aggressively throwing the football, but so far it's been dropped on several key occasions.
6 defensive backs for the 49ers. Johnny Hector comes in for the Jets, and that's Kurt Sohn in motion. O'Brien looking for his first completion, dumps it incomplete. It was Sohn, but over his head. So in 6 scrimmage plays, the Jets have 5 incomplete passes and a loss of a yard on a run.
Well, the words were used yesterday by Walsh himself when he said, we've been out of sync. The Jets are out of sync. You just have the feeling that the timing is not there. And one of the problems cold weather teams have this time of year is practicing in the cold and the snow and the wind. It's apparent that they are just not crisp.
Don Griffin back at his 43-yard line as Dave Jennings ready for his second punt. Oh, bad kick. It'll take a Jets bounce, and Jennings will cheer every roll of that football down to the 40-yard line. San Francisco, good field position. We are treated today in this game with the brilliance of 2 outstanding athletes. Here is one, Al Toon, number 88, University of Wisconsin. He was a triple jumper, has a 43-inch vertical leap, just a great athlete, can run, concentration, tough to cover.
Amazing, too, the kind of discipline and the kind of attitude that he has brought with him as he has worked so very hard to become in a short time the kind of receiver you can depend on in short yardage as well as deep yardage.
And of course, his complement for the 49ers is Jerry Rice, and we'll see some of his talent in a moment. That was Wendell Tyler, and slow getting up.
See him leaning on that knee, limping as he heads back to the huddle.
Former UCLA star comes out, and Roger Craig and Tom Rathman will be the new backfield tandem for San Francisco. Double tight end. Frank and Francis both lined up on the left side. And they run that way. Craig dropped at the 45-yard line after a gain of a couple. Ben Rudolph from Cal State Long Beach led the charge.
On the 46.
No score. 7:57 left, first quarter. And a 3rd and 5. That's going to be a first down, and the quick hitter to Ken Marjoram, as we welcome those of you who have seen one of the big upsets of this Sunday. New England Patriots at home upset by the Bengals 31-7. Cincinnati's hopes very much alive in the Central, and New England now will be those fans in that part of the country rooting for the 49ers, we would guess, as the Jets, with a victory against San Francisco, would have sole possession of first place in the AFC East. Joe Montana has moved the Niners to the 48-yard line of the Jets. First down play. Midway through the first quarter, no score. Roger Craig started today with 64 catches. He had 92 last year to lead the league. What a potent weapon Roger Craig from Nebraska is.
The one thing he has not been able to do so far in this season that he did so effectively last year and in the past is run after the catch. We mentioned he's been bothered by a hip injury, partially dislocated that hip, kept playing, but this is the first week he said that he really feels that he's 100%.
Craig again. Twisted down at the 35-yard line. Short yardage. No score in San Francisco. Let's check on other activity. NFL 86.
All right, Dick, with 2 seconds left on the clock and the Falcons driving. They're trying to win it on the last play. Turk Schonert hits Arthur Cox, who drops it, and the Falcons become the victims of the Colts' first win.
Well, Lamont, it won't exactly be Hoosier hysteria, but those fans, good fans in Indianapolis and the state of Indiana, have to be cheering the first win of the year. 1-13 Colts. Ron Meyer's debut is successful in Indianapolis. Joe Montana throws it away. He had Rice deep, and Jerry Rice, to show the respect the Jets have for him, had 3 men covering him. Clark had gone underneath to the left and was on solo coverage. Russell Carter took him, but there's the man that's the focus. In fact, last week they were saying Monday night, the Giants defense in every huddle, look for Rice. Where's Rice? Somebody watch Rice. They said
suffering from Rice-itis.
Rice-itis.
Yeah.
I thought that was a disease somewhere else.
There's a rule of thumb that's applicable here too. When you have that great a receiver and you can counter on the other side with a Dwight Clark and with a good tight end like Francis, it is tough. Who are you going to put those double teams on? You've got to cover Rice.
3rd down and 8. Montana had to hurry his throw as he saw the pressure coming from Rudolph. Also in on him was Elvis Franks. The Giants, with a huge win at Washington, are in the catbird seat in the NFC East. Cincinnati with a surprise at New England, and Cleveland now struggling against Buffalo in the 4th to hold on to first place in the Central. Kansas City belts Denver, the first place team in the West. Chicago, a big winner, is 12-2. Miami struggles but wins at New Orleans. Max Runager's kick toward the far coffin corner, but it'll kick into the end zone, and the Jets, without a first down gained in the game, will take over at the 20-yard line. A couple more scores here. Minnesota, a final now, moves to 8-6, keeping pressure on San Francisco for a wild card in the West, and Pittsburgh a 10-point leader at home. Still in overtime, Cardinals and Eagles, and there's the first win for Indianapolis. Well, they're not used to seeing that big number on top associated with the Colts side. Gives to Freeman McNeil, a yard, maybe two at best, and that would represent the longest gain of the first quarter for New York, and we have 5:45 left in the period. Ball just across the 22, second down and 7. We welcome those of you who have seen Kansas City upset Denver 37-10. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, where the 49ers and the Jets are scoreless with just over 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Freeman McNeil on that carry. The Jets have not picked up a first down as yet. This is their third possession. The 49ers in their 2 possessions have driven into Jets territory twice, had to punt from the 35, and Joe Montana was intercepted by Jerry Holmes in the end zone on the other scoring endeavor. 3rd and 5. Triple left for the Jets, and they bring Tune in motion. Incomplete to Schuler, and O'Brien has been shut out. He has not completed a pass yet. Now let's go to Ahmad Rashad in NFL 86.
All right, Dick, in Washington, Phil Simms takes the snap and looks in the corner of the end zone for Phil McConkey, who makes this great catch. The Giants beat Washington for the 2nd time this year and take a 1-game lead in the NFC East. The final 24-14.
There are even more positive news associated with that win by the Giants. One, they're more than a game ahead of Washington, having beaten them twice, and the other is they still have the edge on the Bears. Chicago also 12-2 based on division record. Dave Jennings' third punt, a sailor to Don Griffin at the 33, and Griffin a 6-yard return to the 39. 42-yard punt, 6-yard return. We talked about Al Toon having another sensational year in his second. Now let's go to Jerry Rice, number 80. You see him as the slot man. Look at this acrobatic catch Monday night against the Giants.
Dick, when they talk about Rice, they talk about separation, his ability to accelerate to the ball. Look at him, just running away, so closely covered by Leroy Irvin, and then not only caught the ball, but pulled away from the tackle to put it in the end zone.
And there he is from Mississippi Valley State. He was a college shotgun quarterback as well. Caught 310 passes in 4 years in college. And here he is on the reverse. A play that worked against the Giants but does not against the Jets. He's dropped right at the line of scrimmage.
Charles Jackson, number 55, was the man responsible for containment on the backside. He did his job very well. It's frustrating, I'm sure, for the Jets. Their injuries, well documented, are on defense. Klecko, Lyons, and Mel, and of course those 3 guys along with Gastineau all out of the lineup here today, and some expected back soon. But it's been the offense that has not been able to perform, and they have certainly not done the defense any favors. 3 times San Francisco started drives, all 3 in good territory.
2nd down and long for Montana. Underneath he goes to the tight end Francis for 5. Lester Lyles, he's a big safety at 6'3" and 218, made the tackle.
So far, Montana has not been able to capitalize on field position. They've started all 3 drives, at least in this good a field position, on the 40 or better because of the inability of the Jets to move the ball and some relatively poor kicks by Jennings. But so far, the defense of the Jets, in spite of their injuries, playing very well.
3rd down and 6. 4 wide receivers. almost into the hands of the New York Jets. It was intended for Derek Crawford. So for the first time, Montana unable to move the San Francisco offense. And Max Runager in the punt. Kurt Sohn drifts back to the Jets 15. Sohn fighting the sun as he stared into that afternoon sun here in San Francisco at the 18. We have a flag on the play.
I think we had a man leaving the line too quickly on that play.
Welcome those of you who have seen the Cleveland Browns hold off the Buffalo Bills 21-17 and stay one game in front of Cincinnati in the AFC Central Division. Fred Wyand indicating the penalty on the punt.
Penalty is against the Jets. Now is a question of when the holding took place, and apparently it must have been after the punt, because otherwise it would still be San Francisco's ball, and they're pointing downfield. It's either there or a re-kick with a 5-yard penalty.
Face mask, defense, 5 yards before the punt, not an automatic first down. Fourth down.
That will make it very close to a first down. However, when they mark off the 5, it'll be 4th and 1 at the San Francisco 49-yard line. Fans want him to go for it.
Bill Walsh may be a little leery of that. Went for it in the fourth quarter last week twice and missed it with passes on 4th down. I think he may be playing the percentages here early today.
Runager. Sohn does not fair catch it and eats it at the 17-yard line. So really only a yard or two difference on the two punts. Jim Fawnhorst, the linebacker, 55, with the tackle, and we have a timeout at Candlestick with 2:49 remaining in a scoreless first period. Ken O'Brien is yet to pick up a first down in this opening quarter against a 49er defense, and he misfires again looking for Al Toon. And O'Brien under pressure hit as he threw. Ken is well supported, if not by his offensive line, certainly by his relatives. He has 25 or 30 of them here from the Bay Area. Of course, he grew up in Sacramento, attended the University of California, Davis.
Said he could only round up 30 tickets, and that included 20 he got from his teammates.
49ers with field position and have moved the ball, but nothing to show for it. And O'Brien, the top passer in efficiency ratings in the NFL, is yet to complete one, and he doesn't get much there. And the 49ers not fooled a bit by the draw. Jim Fawnhorst, whose older brother Keith plays on the offensive line for the 49ers. 21-17, Cleveland beating the Bills.
When O'Brien has trouble throwing the ball, Dick, the ball tends to fly high on him when it gets away from him. He's thrown the ball high. It doesn't really feel that he is in tempo with his offense, and the receivers certainly in many cases not anywhere near where O'Brien has thought they would be.
Third down, 10. Incomplete again. And Wesley Walker, who was drifting down the near sidelines, that ball almost ricocheted to him, and that would have been a gift touchdown. But O'Brien is still pitching an offer in this first quarter. 0 for 8.
When the top-rated quarterback in the league is shut out so far, you know you've got a problem on offense.
Let's give credit to that San Francisco defense. They've kept pressure on O'Brien, and the coverage has been outstanding.
Well, he deserves some of the credit, but some of it unfortunately goes to O'Brien. He is just not playing well so far in this ballgame.
Don Griffin waiting at the 43. Jennings' fourth punt in the first quarter, and he almost misses this one completely.
Shank.
That's the second shank in a row, but he does get a kind roll to the 44. Veteran Dave Jennings from St. Lawrence University, a long walk to the sidelines. He's nearly missed the last two punts.
He passed 2 times. He was 2 for 7 passing for 79 yards and a touchdown. And here he runs for a 4-yard touchdown. The Bears had their biggest offensive display this year, 48-14 over Tampa Bay.
All right, Ahmad, and of course that moves the Bears, the defending Super Bowl champions, to 12-2, where they match the New York Giants' best record through the first 14 weeks of this NFL season.
Of course, Ken Marjoram, who's now playing for the 49ers, just left that Bear roster, and I asked him, what's the biggest difference? He said, people smile around here. He also said something else that was interesting. He said, in the huddle with McMahon, it was like a sandlot offense. He said, I like it better here with the discipline and the precision.
Joe Montana, it is a computer science offense that Bill Walsh runs, and here's Montana at the trigger, underneath to Craig. And he's out to the 47 in Jets territory, close to a first down. Kyle Clifton, who leads the Jets in tackles from TCU, number 59, made the stop.
Here's a man on the sideline who has done a great job on the year in spite of all the injuries. Bud Carson. They did have a horrible game against Miami, but there you see him signaling in the defense. He's gone out into the marketplace to pick up Kevin MacArthur, Jim Stuckey, and Elvis Franks, not household names in the NFL, to try and patch this defense together.
Down with which to play for San Francisco, but they'll just try to get the first down and don't, as Wendell Tyler tripped up. Ben Rudolph, 76 at Submarine, knocked his man down, and his man then seemed to run into Tyler, who was dropped for about a half-yard loss.
See Tyler looking to the sideline, and again we'll mention he is working on a very sore knee. It blew up after last week's game, and his timing is just not going to be what it should be. He actually tripped over his own man, John Ayers, the guard, who had been knocked down by Ben Rudolph. So the Submarine did cause the play, but he tripped over his own man.
3rd and a yard and a half. Rice is to the right, and they'll run that direction with Tyler. It's going to be close for the first down as Jerry Holmes and Harry Hamilton collaborated on the tackle.
49ers have cut Tyler twice on the year, actually 3 times, because he was off the roster at the beginning of the year and had him on IR. They said they call him Boomerang now. You just
can't get rid of him.
You can't get rid of him.
They're going to measure for a first down, or whether it'll be 4th down in a possible punting situation. Montana thinks they've got the first. Going to be close. He just due by the nose of the football. Five seconds remaining in this first quarter. There's the 55-year-old Bill Walsh, who is now the winningest coach in San Francisco 49er history. He has 73 career wins. Great Buck Shaw had 72 in his career at the head of the San Francisco franchise. No quarter, but the 49ers at least were on the move, and the Jets were stalled.
The Jets have not gotten off the ground, and their ground game itself not doing much at all. 5 yards total offense first quarter.
First down play for Montana to open the second quarter, going for Clark, and a flag. Jerry Holmes was running up Clark's back.
Well, it'll either be the illegal bump or the interference call, one or the other. Big yardage difference, actually, if they...
That's only 5.
47.
They get the benefit of the doubt on that one. The interference call goes to the spot where the ball would have been caught.
That was an opportune error by Holmes to get only 5 yards out of that. He was beaten. They had isolated Dwight Clark on him, and Clark had broken free. But Holmes, a wise defender from West Virginia, able to hold him up. There's Joe Klecko, 73, the all-pro nose tackle. 3 weeks ago, arthroscopic surgery on his knee, and we expect to see him in some passing situations today.
Although I'm not sure we're going to, Dick. That knee is still puffed up.
Roger Craig.
Just going back to Klecko, talking to him yesterday, he felt so good. He wants to get back in there. He's a tough son of a gun anyway. He wants to come back so badly that he worked that knee too hard on Thursday, and it blew up on him.
Only one other late game Houston and San Diego. So, and there is the first report. The Chargers leading 7-0 in the second. Russ Francis breaks a tackle and finally is pushed out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Russell Carter got him out of the field of play, 21 yards.
Montana's first choice was Francis on that play, and in the discipline of that offense, as he gets away from Matt Munger, the linebacker, Francis able to pick up big yardage. And Bill Walsh does a great job of preparing his offensive game plan to take advantage of a defense. If it's there, bingo, the ball is in the air. You saw how quickly Montana threw it on that play.
1 minute into the second quarter, no score. 49ers threaten again. Craig. The 224-pound Craig charges to about the 8.
It's in a situation like this that you really miss a linebacker like a Lance Mel. Kyle Clifton playing very well on the inside for the Jets, but you miss Mel's play some, but you miss his leadership even more.
Well, you talk about leaders. When you lose the Kleckos, Gastineaus, and Mills of the world, you really are taking the heart out of a defense.
Looking right into the eyes of Joe Montana here.
Craig, a little misdirection play. Didn't work for much, maybe a yard. Rudolph was there. Rusty Gilbo as well. No question what the offensive game plan of the 49ers will be in light of those numbers. Tough to run on the Jets, but fairly easy to score on them through the air. At least that's been the pattern.
28 touchdowns passing is not quite as ugly when you realize that 10 of those are Marinos in those 2 games. So they've spread out some of the rest of them.
Third down, and it's Craig to the 2-yard line. First and goal.
Being unpredictable. And I think that's one thing that Bill Walsh does so very well, and partly because he scripts his plays. He puts them down in a random order. You see him on that one. Everyone thinking pass, pass. Walsh comes back with the run. Well, you know why they're thinking pass, because of the stats we just showed you. People have been hurting the Jets through the air.
49ers too have had trouble offensively. First and goal from the 1. Craig, touchdown. His 5th touchdown of the season, Roger Craig, and he was the workhorse on the drive.
Just a good surge here, and it's second effort that gets him in. Has to find a way to twist his body and just push himself into that end zone. Pretty good defensive play, but it's hard to stop those good hard driving backs down that close to the end line.
Moraski to hold for Wersching. And it's 7-0 as the 49ers 6 yards in 9 plays for the game's first score. Not scored in the last 9 quarters, and will receive the kick of Wersching. JoJo Townsell near side, Bobby Humphrey on the far side. 7-0 San Francisco. 12:06 left in the first half. It's to Humphrey at the 2. Has a hole, but it closes in a hurry. Bill Ring down low to topple Humphrey at the 23.
Of course, you said they haven't scored. They have scored a couple of field goals. They have not scored a touchdown. And one of the reasons is that O'Brien just has not been able to match what he was doing earlier in the year. And I think he really spoiled everyone. 68% completions, 20 TDs, 6 interceptions. But look what's happened in the last 3 games.
-2 touchdowns to interceptions, and he's 0 for 8 as he takes over at the 22.5. Freeman McNeil Couple yards, and that's it. Nothing
Jets,
working.
Nothing is going. The Jets wanted to come in and run the football today and then work off the play action pass. Nothing has worked so far as you look at what they have done with their possessions, and that yardage is absolutely embarrassing for this offensive team. And this is the same offensive team that racked up all of those numbers earlier in the year.
Winning 9 in a row and averaging around 30 points a game in that stretch. McNeil to the 26, and a fine tackle by Michael Walter. '50-year-old Joe Walton, the head man of the Jets in his 4th year. He seemed to be very much in control and cool and calm yesterday.
He hasn't lost his cool. Of course, they're still in first place as of right now, or at least tied for it, and can't have it outright if they win today. But boy, they're going to have to get storming here, get something going.
On 3rd down and 6, McNeil, and with that second effort, appeared to pick up the first down, and it took some hard driving by Freeman McNeil to gain 7. That's the longest offensive play of the half for the Jets. Charles Haley, a rookie from James Madison, and a good one, number 94, made the tackle.
Running backs take such a beating, and of course I think many of our audience would have watched McNeil's elbow being destroyed on a Monday night game. He said he's come back physically, and actually he says I'm regressing a little bit. Body tends to come back to a point and then drop off. He said I'm on the downward side a little bit.
That's the initial first down for the Jets. It took them nearly 20 minutes to get it. On the ground again. And that's Johnny Hector out to the 48-yard line and a first down. Carlton Williamson trips up, or check that, McNeil after a 15-yard gain. Freeman McNeil from UCLA.
Chance to watch the little misdirection there. Hector with the step out. That's a kind of an influence play. Actually, McNeil, number 24, looked like Hector, didn't it, as he went down the field. You know, that staggering step. McNeil is the kind of runner who surges left and right, back and forth cutting.
And now Johnny Hector replaces McNeil on a first down at the 48. O'Brien hungry for a completion, trying to get it to Walker, and a flag goes down. A lot of bumping and shoving, and that could go almost either way. Both Walker and rookie Don Griffin, the defender, were pushing each other.
It looked to me like Walker was trying to get to the ball and could not because he was being held away from it by Griffin.
It's against Griffin of the 49ers, and a big one all the way down to around the 12-yard line.
Experience so very valuable. That ball underthrown, and Walker tries to go back to it, and right there was the push. Walker trying to get back to the ball, and Griffin bumping him and pushing him away from it.
They mark it down just outside the 10-yard line. 1st and 10. Well, Don Griffin knew he had his hands full. O'Brien, incomplete to Tune. And that was not a well-thrown pass.
Tune with that quick jump to the inside. You throw that ball in front of him and you give him a chance to catch it. The ball thrown on his back shoulder. Tune fighting to try and get back to it, simply couldn't do it. And O'Brien again, when he's off the mark, the ball tends to sail on him, tends to go high. That one was also behind the receiver. The timing is not good for the Jets.
O'Brien is now 0 for 9 plus the pass interference. Draw play. McNeil, and the man who saved it was number 78, Manu Tuiasosopo, the former Seattle Seahawk. He too from UCLA caught McNeil from behind. They were teammates with the Bruins in their collegiate years.
Well, if you can't throw it, you better go to the ground. And who better to go to than Freeman McNeil, almost getting away, as you indicated, Dick. Very important play here. They've got to throw the football.
Crowd trying to help the 49er defense. That's McNeil. stopped at the 5-yard line. 1-yard gain. That, the first completed pass by O'Brien, goes for just a yard.
The 49ers, Dick, the 49ers just bring their Ronnie Lott, number 42, up inside, and I think they forced an audible on O'Brien out of that last play. They made him go to the quick outlet receiver, and then they dropped out of what looked like a blitz. They've trapped him into that play. Now they're going to have to go for the field goal.
22-yard attempt by Pat Leahy, who has made all but 3 of 17, and he gets this one. The veteran from St. Louis University has the Jets' first score. 7 minutes, 41 seconds remaining. And he crossed the veteran all-pro guard and can play pretty good center too, says, I hope our white wine sipping fans will get off their you-know-whats and make some noise in this game. They were trying to help San Francisco's defense on the Jets' drive at the 10 and perhaps did. 7-3. Here comes Derek Crawford.
Whoa.
And he is stopped at the 16-yard line. Well, the renowned Mr. Cross received a lot of mail from the fans. Well, even the Cabernet Sauvignon fans here wrote to him. They didn't like his comment.
They're very angry, but I can understand Randy's point. You really should have your own crowd into the game, and that's what home field advantage is, having a chance to play in front of your own troops. And he said, hey, our crowd doesn't even know when to yell. They yell when we have the ball, make it tough for us to call our signals. Well, they haven't done it today. Maybe he got his point across, Dick.
Well, he said, I've never seen anyone visiting quarterback have to back away from center because of the San Francisco noise. Montana going deep, and Rice is wide open. Only because the pass was short was Harry Hamilton able to race back and save a touchdown at the 42 of the Jets. The play is worth 42.
Montana gets great pressure from 76 Rudolph on the right-hand side, who leveled him, and that's why that ball was so late and so short. You're absolutely right, Dick. If that one could have been thrown and would have been thrown longer had Montana had the time, Rice is off to the races. He had to back up and come back to get that one.
Well, just watching this young man Rice in practice yesterday, he runs so effortlessly, and he's at full speed, and it's deceptive. He just blows by defenders. Tyler caught in the backfield and struggles forward for maybe a yard. A reminder, our viewers will hear the announcement of our most valuable player, the Budweiser MVP, in today's game toward the conclusion of today's contest. We understand that Johnny Hector has injured a hamstring muscle and may not return this half. 2nd down and 9. Wide open, Jerry Rice, and he's to the 22 and a first down. Jerry Rice with another catch worth 18.
Well, if Ahmad is watching, and I'm sure he is, he's saying, yep, that's the guy I talked about right there. Just a quick little turnout pattern, and Rice is showing you that he can run with the football after he gets his hands on it as well.
Probably saying, what's this 1A stuff? Ahmad, who had picked Altoona as number 1 and Rice close second, 1A.
Even the 49ers rated Tune ahead of Rice in the draft, however.
Russ Francis to the 5-yard line before Hamilton can save another touchdown. 17 more yards.
Roger Craig, you watch him, got up a little early on that play. The Jets were saying that they should have been called for motion, but I think he had settled and stopped for a full second. Francis right up through the gut on this shot by Montana. That's the first receiver again. Montana able to get it to his primary receiver again. Francis getting close to that touchdown.
3rd catch for Francis, 1st and goal from the 5. And Roger Craig scores.
you're a fierce competitor, and I don't know a tougher competitor in all of football than that man, it's got to eat you up not to be able to put your helmet on and be a part of what's going on out there today.
The Jets do have a luxury in knowing that New England was beaten today.
They're backing up again, Dick. They're backing back into the crowd again.
14-3 San Francisco with 4.5 minutes remaining in the second. Roger Craig with plenty of blocking. And this young man runs hard from the first step. His second score of the game. Niners lead the Jets 14-3. 4.5 minutes left. First half. Bobby Humphrey. Jets have not been able to generate much off their kick returns this year. He's back to the 21-yard line.
One more look at that touchdown. Tom Baldwin, 95, working in the middle. Craig off the left-hand side. Good block by 51 Randy Cross. 81 Russ Francis out in front of Craig. He did not need much. Woof. Look at that yardage.
And that all spells out 14-3 San Francisco.
You are looking at the perfect Christmas present.
Of historical infamy, December 7th. 1986 is a beauty in San Francisco. Not for the Jets, who continue to struggle. Have not scored in the first half the last 2 games. They've scored only 3 points in each of the last 3 games, counting this one, and they have the ball down 14-3 at their 21-yard line. O'Brien finally gets a decent gain out of a throw as he goes to Rocky Cleaver out to the 35-yard line and a first down.
Screen pass. O'Brien with an option on the play. Could tell that the pass had been read well by the defense and went to the option man. Cleaver had to escape some bodies to do it. He is getting all kinds of heat today.
With that 14 yards, O'Brien now is 2 for 11 and 15 yards. Look at Montana, 149 yards of passing production. Going deep, Walker. Incomplete at the 15-yard line. A flag is down. Right through the arms of Walker, was covered by Lott and McKyer.
Walker actually had some space, but McKyer closed the gap right at the end and got up there to get a hand in front of him. No flag on the play, apparently. One of the things that happens to a quarterback when he is pressured, very often his feet begin to chatter. Watch O'Brien here. Not so bad. Settling in there pretty good on that play, even though the pressure was on from the inside.
Walker.
No.
Go ahead.
Short. I'm sorry, Dick. You're absolutely right. It is Walker. It looked like Walker going for the first down, and he bumped out just short of it. A second shot. We're talking about quarterbacks, how important it is for them to remain calm in the pocket, because when you tense up, you lose your peripheral vision. You lose your ability to see the whole field, and also your response time is limited. You can't get that ball away as quickly.
Walker selling the deep move, able to get 9, 3rd and 1. Up the middle goes Tony Page, the big fullback, one of the rare calls for Page from Virginia Tech, and he has the necessary yardage for a Jets first down.
Watch the nose man, Michael Carter, on this play. Watch Carter as he will slant to this side and take himself literally out of the play. Page going back the other way, and Carter had just taken himself right out of there. If Page hadn't stumbled, would have had a nice gain on it.
Jets 47 with 3 minutes left in the first half. Wide open is Freeman McNeil, and he's out of bounds at the 49er 43. About 10 yards on that play. Don Griffin covers.
We talked early about this man, Al Toon, and how important he is Griffin there getting a bump and obviously leaving him because the ball had already been thrown. But when you can force that kind of attention on a receiver, it's going to open up the shorter routes on the passing game.
That's exactly what happened there. Toon clearing away, and then Freeman McNeil was all alone underneath. 14-3, San Francisco leads late in the first half. Again, wide open is McNeil. And out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Now there's a play, and that's borderline. Obviously there's no flag, but in talking yesterday with Bill Walsh, he's very concerned about this kind of play where right at the sidelines a man is hit and the tackle continues. He thinks that there should be something done where once that man hits the sidelines, you have to let go your grasp. You can't continue to fight him. Now in that play it was just a matter of bumping him out, but we know what he's talking about.
Now, the other two things that bother him, of course, the hits on the quarterback and the hits on a receiver when the ball is not catchable. Those are the three things that he is most eager to see the competition committee do something about for the safety of players.
Second down along 3. Play action. O'Brien to Shuler, intercepted by Williamson at the 11-yard line. A flag is down.
Keena Turner, number 58.
They're going to pick up the flag, apparently. It's San Francisco's ball.
Was in coverage on Shuler on that play, and it looked like there might have been a call, but the official decided it was not going to be a penalty and picked it up, stuffed it in his pocket. Here's the last of that play. You'll see the ball bouncing loose right there through the arms of the intended receiver. Turner, I think, with his hands in front of Shuler. Shuler really couldn't see that ball coming.
So that's the first O'Brien interception. San Francisco stops the drive.
Play, he might never walk again.
Well, it was scary.
The Achievers, those who faced adversity and refused to fail, sponsored by the U.S. Army. Joe Montana was supposed to be sidelined for the year, maybe for life, after back surgery in September. But today, he'll try to keep the 49er playoff hopes alive.
I think I'm an achiever because I hate to lose, even to my wife. It's that competitive spirit inside of me that really makes me go.
Do you have anything in aviation?
Last play, the interception intended for Shuler. The ball deflected by Keena Turner to Carlton Williamson. And the 49ers stopped the drive.
I believe that's what the official was saying, that the ball had been deflected, so there was no interference on the play. Dick, if you're Bill Walsh on the sideline, don't you have to feel a little bit of deja vu last week against the Giants, that Monday night game? So much in control in the first half. In fact, they were leading 17-0. Everything was working. The second half, of course, an entirely different story. Even though the 49ers dominating so thoroughly here in this game, I bet you that man's got some real concerns right now.
Well, you know, he doesn't have enough. That 17-0 lead was so uncharacteristic, he said, of our performance. One of the things we developed here in a couple of Super Bowl wins is we're a good second half team. When we're ahead, we don't lose those games. But the Giants won it 21-17, and the New York Giants, the hottest team in the National Football League, win it again today at Washington. A very impressive victory.
That's a tough place to win, too.
From the 10. Out of the backfield, incomplete to Roger Craig, as Montana had to throw around a Jets rush.
Going back to a play earlier in the game, and Dick, this is the one that you mentioned that Walsh had talked to us about, and you see the shot clearly out of bounds. Not necessary to drive a man. He's going out of bounds anyway. All you got to do is give him a shove and he's out of there. That's one of the things that Walsh is very adamant about. He said we've got to protect our players. We can't play with all these guys on the sideline and on injured reserve.
2nd and 10, 2 minutes 36 seconds left in the half. Craig breaking 2 tackles and finally down at about the 18. Good piece of running by Roger Craig. It'll be 3rd and 2.
You could just feel his energy yesterday. He's so happy to be healthy again. When you have a nagging injury, and you know, there's no way to walk up into the crowd and say to all these fans, look, my hips bother me. I can't run like I want to run. And yet they look down and they expect to see the Roger Craig that put 1,000 yards plus running and 1,000 yards plus catching on the ball, and they want that same Craig out there every week.
Saturday, Joey Meyer leads the Blue Demons of
Joe Montana Almost went to North Carolina State on a basketball scholarship. Elected to play football at Notre Dame. 3rd and 2. Roger Craig with a blocker. And has a first down out at the 27-yard line. Stops the clock, 1:55, and another 4 downs for San Francisco. Randy Cross threw another all-pro block on the corner. Joe Montana, comparing his performance of last year with this year, same games. This is from his injury on 4 games, 69% in the first half, 59%. It drops 10%. 4 touchdowns first half, but only 1 touchdown in 4 games in the second half for Montana. Uncharacteristic for him. Screen, Joe Cribbs. And Cribbs is out of bounds at the 43-yard line. First down, San Francisco. So we just showed you the statistics this year. Montana, since the injury, tough in the first half, disappointing in the second. Last year, the same 4 games of the year, it was the reverse. First half starting slowly, but oh my, in the second half. Now, why the difference, do you think?
I think one of the problems, that surgery had to take tremendous energy out of Montana. And I think he's having fatigue problems in the second half. I think it shows up in his ability to make things happen, to make the big things happen that are so characteristic of his play.
Play action. And incomplete to John Frank, the tight end. Tom Baldwin was chasing Montana.
I think it showed up perhaps best, although he got a lot of yardage in the second half of the Washington game. That game that lasted about 3 days that everyone kept watching and watching and watching. But Montana had such a fatigued look, and there seemed to be so much wear and tear on him in that game that he was not able to get the touchdowns, not able to put it in the end zone. The other thing that they're concerned about is that he is not running the ball like he has in the past, and several opportunities missed on Monday night to pick up big first downs there.
Out of the shotgun, 2nd and 10, 1:42 left, flag down, and so is Roger Craig at the 45.
A very interesting play. Excuse me, a direct snap back instead of to the quarterback, went right to the running back, but the timing was off on the play.
Did you see that University of Hawaii Michigan game, the play of the Rainbows pulled last night? It reminded me something that Tommy Prothro would have used in your day with the days with the Rams.
No, it wasn't that wild.
Offside, number 86, 2nd down.
No John Frank offside. And the Jets will move San Francisco farther back. There's John Frank from Ohio State. His nickname is Satellite. I presume because sometimes he's off out there someplace. A very bright guy, a 3.90 student in chemistry. He has 2 years in medical school. Screen and a well-thrown pass by Montana. Fumble. And is it recovered by the Jets? No, he was not in bounds. Jerry Holmes did not get both feet in as the ruling.
Holmes has to get control of that football before he gets out of bounds. It's not a matter of touching it. He has to possess the football. Screen pass looks good right from the start. Quickly thrown to the outside. Craig gets the ball stripped away right there. 26 Lyles. Now watch Holmes.
Yep, his right foot is apparently on the line. Boy, that's a close call, and the divot is there, and the official can look at that divot, and apparently he feels that it took part of the line.
Let's run it again. I think it's worth seeing again if we can, just to see the end of the play. Right at the end of it, he's got to have that ball in control. Not really controlling it yet. That first foot on the line. I'd have to agree with the call, but boy, that is a narrowest of margins.
Roger Craig again. Stopped shy of midfield.
Got a little wrestling match going on upfield. Tom Baldwin back there with Bubba Paris.
1:11 and 1:10. The Jets are not using a timeout here, so apparently they feel that the 49er kick is going to pin them too deep. They have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. And of course, San Francisco then will just take its time on the 30-second clock. Why give the Jets a chance? I guess Joe Walton figuring, hey, we've not done much moving the ball anyway. Why? Let's just get out of here. 14-3 in the half. Sliced by Runager.
Tremendous pressure. They were trying to block it, Dick. Rudiger did a good job of just getting that ball away. You see him talking to his protectors on that play and saying, wow.
26 yards is all he gets. And he just did.
JoJo Townsell, number 83, one of the players almost there with his hands, just stretching across.
Jets take over at the 23 with 41 seconds left in the half. 14-3 San Francisco. O'Brien underneath to Schuler. And they will not use the timeout here either. .25 seconds left in the half. O'Brien underneath to Freeman McNeil, who ducks out of bounds with a first down at the 37.
Dick, let's flash back just for a second to the very first play by the Jets in this half. So important to get off on the right foot. They ran a 22-yard square out, or square in actually, and actually had the ball into Toone's hands. It was a good pass. O'Brien was right on target. Toone, if he controls that football, has a big first down to start it out. Ball bounces out of his hands and bounces away. And right now you not only have don't have the first down, but you've gotten everything off on the wrong foot. How much different this half could have been, perhaps, had they started it properly.
And have the ball first down at their own 37. Triple right formation. O'Brien drilling it incomplete over the head of JoJo Townsell. Well, you talked about that very first play of the game. Al Toone, the brilliant young receiver. This is the very first play after the kickoff. Toone comes down, covered by Tim McKyer. Makes his break. O'Brien with a throw. Boom, right there off his chest, incomplete. And that started a terrible first quarter where O'Brien did not complete a pass.
You can't throw the ball any better than that. And I think maybe Toone and O'Brien and the offense all so eager to get something going, so tight perhaps, that they have just wound themselves into knots. They've been in knots this whole first half.
Toone again too tall. Final seconds of this first half. Well, O'Brien had the best completion percentage of any quarterback in the league coming in, 64.8%. And he's hitting just over, well, around 35% in the first half today. So there's the very best in the league in completing passes, having an off half, but still down only by 11.
This is not an easy defense to play against. George Seifert's defense, they have 200 defenses in the game plan, and they can switch it up in a heck of a hurry.
Mickey Schuler, who has tied George Sauer with 51 consecutive games, at least one catch, gets that one as the half ends. And Al Toone, one of the top young stars in this game, leaves the field without catching a pass in the entire first half. And his team, the Jets, down to the 49ers, 14-3. NFL 86 halftime activities will continue in a moment, and we'll be right back tomorrow night, still in the hunt. In the NFC, the 49ers are currently a game and a half behind the Rams, who lead in the NFC West with the Giants, Chicago, and Washington, the top records. So the 49ers trying to stay in front of Minnesota with a win and ahead of Dallas with a win. Should they lose, then Minnesota and even Dallas tonight could move in front of the 49ers for a wild card spot. So have you ever seen it where we come down to the final weeks of the season and all the 49ers were that dominant, maybe even more so, had the ball 8 more minutes even than the New York Jets?
The Jets were that bad. You can't give that whole rap to O'Brien, although you certainly have to rate him down for.
They lost 45-3 in Miami, 17-3 at home against the Rams. They've scored only 3 in the 30 minutes played today. Leahy hits it low, and it's scooped up by Derek Crawford of the San Francisco 49ers. And Crawford, the wide receiver from Memphis State, returns it out across the 25-yard line. The flag goes down. Kurt Sohn, apparently the man against whom the flag was thrown, or at least around him. Here's the call.
We have a personal foul, number 87, 15 yards, first down.
Well, the 49ers get 15 more.
After the play is over, you'll see it right there. Scuffle breaking out. Sohn throwing Frank to the ground and then giving him another push. I don't think he'd have gotten the flag for the first one. It was the second one, almost the insult, the taunt that went with it, that got him the 15-yard foul penalty and puts the 49ers again in great field position.
Boy, you consider some of the roughness that goes on, though. That was rather tame for 15 yards. Montana. Bubble. And who's got it? That's up for grabs at the 35-yard line. The 49ers are able to scoop it up. Barry Bennett was the man putting pressure on Montana. And down out of that bottom of the pile, somebody very alertly for the 49ers might have been Bubba Paris.
Second sack of the day on Montana. Has really too much time. Pulls it down. The ball stripped away right there. Actually, the first sack of the day on Montana. A chance right there for Baldwin to get his hands on it, but 49ers out-muscled him under the pile to get the ball.
First sack today. Jets have only 24 sacks all year. That in the air, and actually one of the Jets running away from the play, or that one might have been in his grasp. It appeared to be Charles Jackson.
Possibly Elvis Franks over on the right-hand side, or Rudolph. Nope. No, I believe the linebacker stretching up there, knocking that ball away. Yes, it was Crable getting his chance on it, and you're absolutely right, Dick. And you need a turnaround right here. You got to get something to get them fired up.
Third and 15. Going deep for Rice, and a flag. Jerry Holmes grabbed at Rice, and Rice thought he had a touchdown if it weren't for the call.
Great players do two things to you. They scare you to begin with, and they make you do things you don't want to do defensively. When you're
holding number 47.
When you're beaten, there's no question that Rice, with that great acceleration and separation, is going to blow by right here. And there's the little hook. Just reached out and hooked him, and of course hoping that no one saw it. Unfortunately, the officials did, but no, it's only a 5-yard penalty. A little bit later, that goes all the way to the spot of the foul.
5 yards, but on 3rd and 15, it does give the 49ers a first down. And the Jets, the most penalized team in the NFL, and that reflected in first downs allowed by penalty. So 2 penalties already early in this second half against the Jets. And Montana trying to take advantage. Underneath he goes for short yardage to Dwight Clark, and for Clark, the veteran from Clemson, his first catch of the game.
Clark, one of the few 49ers, in fact the only 49er receiver to wear gloves out there. You see them coming up into your picture there. I said, why do you wear those gloves? He said, well, takes the sting out of the ball. He said the other thing, he said, you get in there and you get a lot of bump and run. He said you can use these gloves, kind of push people off a little bit.
Extends Dwight Clark's streak to 102 straight games. Roger Craig stopped at the 49-yard line, just short of a first down. And a little more extra push and shove after the whistle. Hamilton and Lyles, the tacklers for the Jets, after a 5-yard gain. That'll bring up 3rd and 1. John Frank, a second tight end, and Tom Rathman, a rookie fullback, enter the San Francisco huddle. Joe Klecko has not played, but at least his helmet is on. That's as close as he's come today. Craig hit, but falls forward for what appears to be a first down. Barry Bennett got to him shy of the first down, but Craig, with those strong legs, able to drive forward. Ray Wershing.
They just crossed the 50-yard line, and Wershing's ritual is to go to his net and kick about 3 shots, 3 quick field goals into that net. Very fastidious in the way he prepares. There he goes. He's heading over to his net, takes his ball over there,
As soon as they cross the 50,
As soon as they cross the 50, he does this. And then no one is allowed to talk to him. There he goes. Sets it up. Runager, that's his brother-in-law actually holding the ball here.
They married sisters, did Runager and Wersching. That's keeping it in the kicking family.
Well, he will kick 2 more, believe us.
First down at the 49 of the Jets. Craig unable to hang on to that short pass. Kyle Clifton in the area. Now, what else will Wersching do? He's kicked his 3. Now, what's his next
well, the
superstition?
next part of the ritual, really, aside from not having anyone talk to him, he doesn't want anybody to talk to him now until he gets a chance to go in, hopefully, and do his thing on the field. But there's another part of the ritual that we'll try and show you if he gets a chance to kick here.
Well, Wersching, among active players, with Mark Mosley back in the NFL with Cleveland, is number 2, and he's the 12th man in NFL history to score 1,000 points kicking. Craig down after a yard gain. Good aggressive defense. Russell Carter coming up from the corner, number 27.
Dick, looking down at this beautiful grass turf and remembering back just a few years to when this was an artificial turf. This is certainly a field that has been returned to the kind of state that the players would like to have it in. And you know why they did that? You know why they took it back to grass? You remember the story?
I don't.
It was actually because of O.J. Simpson. Joe Thomas was here. They traded for Simpson, and Simpson had bad knees. And they changed this field for O.J. Simpson.
Craig dropped at the 49, and that will force the punting team on. Well, I've heard of PAT turf. That's O.J. turf down here.
This is O.J. turf. I tell you, he did a great service. It was the worst artificial turf in the league. Was just as hard as rock, and they knew that he wouldn't be able to last. He wasn't able to last anyway, but it was done for Simpson.
Kurt Sohn at the other end. Runager blocked. It's blocked and playable. And Runager saves a touchdown by wrapping up Jerry Holmes. There were 4 Jets there. No one blocked Runager, or Holmes would have had an easy score. And you've got to give Runager credit for that defensive play.
Watch the action here. They came close earlier. The snap a little bit high. Runager gets the ball up. I think it's Townsell again. 83, JoJo Townsell. Now, you've got to get somebody to block here. Instead of somebody taking a shot on Runager, you're absolutely right. Anybody bumps him even. And you see right at the end, there was a fumble by Bobby Humphrey. Otherwise, they might have been able to get out of there and get some yardage.
Jets with a first turnover in the second half. Walker in motion. O'Brien gives to McNeil. Nothing there. The 49er defense meets the challenge again.
This is the kind of play you need to turn things around emotionally. Big break on special teams. Could have been a 7-point break. As it is, you've handed the ball over in good field position, but now you've got to get the offense going. Runager, a good job. Good job on special teams.
Not only stopping Humphrey, actually forcing a fumble. Second down and 9. 14-3 San Francisco. McNeil intercepted by Ronnie Lott. That'll be his 9th of the year. The NFL's #1 pass thief. Ronnie Lott gets another.
Wayne Board, number 76. And we saw Montana throw that same kind of pass in the first half. With the pressure on, Montana threw one, and now with the heat on, O'Brien turns it back over to San Francisco.
You want the less smelling light beer with the first name it takes.
The dining car.
Don't just ask for a light beer.
Can I have a light?
Ask for...
Player for the San Francisco 49ers, the NFL leader in interceptions with 9 now, and that's 33 for the year for San Francisco. Far and away the best at stealing the opponent's passes. That one was a gift for Lott. And O'Brien continues to struggle. 2 plays after the block punt, the Jets cough it up on the interception from the San Francisco 10. Roger Craig for 4. Harry Hamilton from Penn State, his alma mater, awaiting a chance to play Vinny Testaverde, the Heisman Award winner in Miami in the Fiesta Bowl here on NBC January 2. O'Brien, a +26 in his career. Touchdowns over interceptions, a +10, counting 2 interceptions today.
But in the last 3 ball games, those numbers quite different, and we'll get those stats for you. He is not having that good a time here in this ball game. He has looked awful here in this game.
Ooh, drilled hard was Wendell Tyler, and the Jets say there's a fumble on the play. Let's see. Jets are signaled they've recovered a fumble. No official reaction. Up with the ball is Bob Crable, but they say that Tyler was down or that the whistle had sounded.
Wendell Tyler, a back who traditionally will turn loose of that football. There's the fight going on. Well, you're not going to get that one called because in that sea of bodies, anything can happen. The last time we saw Tyler, he had the ball. He disappeared.
3rd down and 3. Joe Cribbs has a 1st down out at the San Francisco 28, and we have another push and shove. Jerry Holmes made the defensive play for the Jets.
I'll tell you, if I were playing on the defense for the Jets, as I went to the sideline, I might have to start pushing some of my offensive guys and saying, hey, what are you doing, sleeping over here? What do we got to do to get you awake?
Joe Cribbs' first carry of the game, that's 11 yards, and the statistics continue to mount in favor of San Francisco. Montana incomplete to Francis, who was wide open. No, Montana won't miss the bullseye like that very often.
Get a kick out of Francis talking to him. I asked you about his airplanes. You look at Montana's career stats.
Well, that's a remarkable 65 in the plus column.
You know, you get a quarterback if he's half and half, if he's 50-50. Those are good numbers. And those numbers are incredible.
But this year a -1, and here's a man who missed all those games with a serious back injury and then surgery. Anyone who's ever had back problems has to marvel at Joe Montana and his rapid recovery. Screen to Cribbs, and he twists away to the 33-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and about 4.
Dick, just to carry that story back to Russ Francis. Francis loves to fly his airplanes. In fact, flies over to practice here very often. Lives out by Livermore. And I asked him how many planes he has now. He said, I only have 3 now. He's got a biplane, an open cockpit Stearman. He's got an old post-World War II fighter plane. It's a Hawker Fury, and then a conventional single engine. He flies them all, gets out there.
Presumably at different times.
Well, not at the same time, I don't think.
Montana incomplete to Jerry Rice, with Jerry Holmes on the coverage.
And the shot on Rice after the ball was through his hands is another one of those indications that coaches are going to have to deal with. Unnecessary violence on the field. And I think we're seeing all too much of it in this game and most every game played in the NFL, unfortunately.
Max Runager to punt. Bert Sohn waits at the 28. Another short kick. Sohn on the run, 35. The flag is down as Sohn scrambles out to the 45-yard line, but it'll be called back to about the 35 where the flag goes down.
I think what happened is you had a veteran making a smart play. Quillen turned his back on Nuo Fa'aloa. And Nuo, you see him right there.
Illegal block in the back, number 83, first down.
Not number 80.
JoJo Townsell is 83.
Well, okay, maybe there were 2. Nuo had 1 too. Here's the block. Oh, it is Townsell.
And it was in the back.
There's one in the back. Watch the next one here by Nuo Fa'aloa. There's a second block in the back. So there are really 2 of them on the same play.
Jets have the ball. They trail by 11. After the penalty on the kick return, the Jets take over at the 30. Ronnie Lott, who stopped the Jets' golden opportunity after the block punt with his 9th interception, and he'll take you to the ball. O'Brien Al Toon has his first catch, and that's something Ahmad Rashad talked about. He not only can catch the ball, but after the catch can break tackles, and he gains a couple, 3 more after the reception.
They've got to get him back into this game. The last few weeks, they just have not been able to get the ball into him, and Joe Walton is very defensive about that. He said you can't just force the ball to an Al Toon. You've got to get it to him as a part of what you're doing offensively.
Williamson and McCall with the tackle. First down at the 42. Quick toss to Freeman McNeil, and the 49ers all over that sweep. Larry Roberts, the rookie second-round draft pick, makes the hit again. The Giants in a big win at Washington. Cincinnati upsets New England, and Cleveland stays a game in front of Cincinnati with a win. They play each other next week on NBC. Kansas City, 27-point winner over Denver. 48-14. Chicago's 12-2, and Miami is now even at 7-7. Minnesota puts pressure on San Francisco for the wild card in the West, and Pittsburgh beats Detroit. Overtime tie, St. Louis, Philadelphia. Indianapolis, its first win after 13 straight losses. Michael Carter, the nose tackle. And that's the 49ers' first sack of the game.
Carter working on Joe Fields, just slaps Fields, gets to the outside, gets away from Page, and is all over O'Brien before O'Brien can even move. Tremendous explosive quickness by Carter, the nose tackle. Many say he's the best in football. I'll tell you why. I've never seen a big man so explosive and so quick in that position.
Well, that's from that shot put experience, a silver medalist in the 84 games, needing that explosion. Shotgun, long yardage, O'Brien. Almost intercepted by Tim McKyer, the rookie from Texas Arlington. Did a good job of making O'Brien think that Toon was open. He was looking, he was trying to set up that interception. And the crowd, Randy Cross has stirred them up here at Candlestick.
Wait a minute, are they still drinking their white wine out there?
They may be going to the champagne the way it's going. 14-3 San Francisco with 6 minutes and 17 seconds left in the third quarter. Don Griffin awaits Jennings' punt. '49ers are coming. Fair catch, Griffin at his 38-yard line. Timeout with 6 minutes and 10 seconds left. Jets midway through the third period. 14-3 San Francisco. 25 years. He doesn't look much over 35.
Started when he was 10, right?
So he tells us. Montana. Incomplete to Dwight Clark. Ball that was catchable. The two quarterbacks, O'Brien of the Jets, only 9 for 24. Montana well over 50%, neither with a touchdown throw. Roger Craig in from the sidelines as Tom Rathman, the rookie from Nebraska, who followed Craig with the Huskers, goes out. Dangerous Jerry Rice deployed to the left. Criticizing Montana for not running, and he scrambles there to the 48-yard line. Now, I thought when they put in the rule that the quarterback slides down that he was untouchable, and there again, they're not really protecting.
Watch him break away. Watch his mobility here as he turns it loose. And Dick, you'll see Crable trying to avoid the contact. Number 50, Crable coming in, sees the slide. He starts at him. Now watch him. He is trying to get away from the contact.
You're right.
That's the reason that they didn't call him there. But
right.
had he continued the way he was going, they would have thrown a flag. But he was trying to back off.
Third down and 1. Some of the local press down on Montana. They felt had he scrambled more against the Giants Monday night, San Francisco would have won. No chance to get rid of it that time. Blasting through was Elvis Franks, the veteran from Morgan State, with the sack.
You know, if they call Wendell Tyler Boomerang, they got to have a new name for Elvis Franks. He was signed and cut 3 times by the Raiders earlier in the year. He was the man that was going to replace Greg Townsend on the suspension, no suspension situation. Of course, picked up later by the Jets.
Boy, Runager almost blocked again, and the flag is down, roughing the kicker. Shown a fair catch at the 15. But referee Fred Wyant throws the flag.
A bad break. Bad break for Townsell. Townsell, I think, just barely hit the foot here of Runager right at the end of it. Now watch Runager with his foot at full extension. You'll see number 83 going through, and I think he just hits the foot with his shoulder right there. And you see him turn. Now, smart kicker makes a little bit of an action out of that, but he did hit the foot, and it is a penalty.
That's a very dramatic picture from another angle. Here's Townsell, 83. And he is not blocked into the kicker, and he just on the follow through catches the heel of Runager.
Did it exactly as he's supposed to, going to the spot, but got just a fraction too deep, just barely brushed the foot.
But again, the penalty bite on the Jets, and that extends the possession time of the 49ers. Wendell Tyler. And the veteran drives to the 43-yard line, a gain of about 9.
We mentioned the knock on Tyler, which is his propensity to cough up the football. Did not do that last week. Had a very good game against the Giants. And although there was one that was perhaps suspected as being a fumble earlier in this game, has yet to fumble in this game as well.
3-1. The yardage favor the 49ers, but they have hardly put it away yet. They lead 14-3 with 4 minutes left in the third quarter. Well, you can hear the popping when that Craig carries the ball. He punishes the tackler. Kyle Clifton finally drags him down after a gain of about 3.
Talking to Bill Walsh about last week's game, Walsh very specific about his distaste for what happened. He said, you know, when you have control of a game as thoroughly as we did, 17-0, and then you can't keep it in the second half and you let a team come back, he said that hurts your reputation. People around the league say, hey, Giants did it, we can do it.
Montana. What a throw, what a throw. They say he was juggling the ball, Jerry Rice, and it's no catch. You just cannot throw that pass any better than Montana.
Rice waiting until the last second. Now they say it's not a catch because he's bobbling the ball, but I think he had 2 feet in before he bobbled the ball.
Tough call. Well, that's such a timing pattern, and Rice had his defensive player turn back to Montana, and Montana dropped it right over the Jets' shoulder. And they're going to take another look at the play, apparently, as you see the timeout that indicates the instant replay official is going to take a second look.
Here's the shot now, and watch Rice. He waits until the last second before he turning. Russell Carter, 27. No indication that ball is coming. You're not going to be able to see the feet from there.
Here's the angle where you can judge. Watch the possession. Does he have it? Does he have it tucked away?
Oh, the ball.
Not yet.
Yeah,
No.
Ball perhaps juggling. It's not a matter of where his feet in there. And here we go back to live action.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a catch.
Montana to Craig to the 32-yard line, and that's going to be, I believe, a first down. Clifton and Crable make the tackle after a 7-yard pickup. This is the 49er offense at its best. Picking away, maybe setting up a long one later, but Montana on target, and look at the possession time. That's the most dramatic difference we've seen all year.
You know what else is amazing? That means that this defense, this Jets defense, has been out there coping with that much of Montana in the offense. They have got to be fatigued out there.
And with that in mind, Merlin, 14 points is a yeoman job by that.
It certainly is. For all of the bad field position that their offense has dictated and all the opportunities the 49ers have had.
San Francisco leading 14-3. Montana with Baldwin chasing. Off to Craig to the 29-yard line, a gain of 3. Barry Bennett made the tackle. Yeah, you wonder. You're Tom Baldwin, who was playing on that nose for Joe Klecko. Ben Rudolph playing where you'd normally find Mark Gastineau. Barry Bennett on the left side where Marty Lyons had an outstanding first half of the year.
Crable moved in for Lance Smell, and Klecko still shaking his head. I'll go back there in a minute. I got a Klecko story for you.
Second down 7. Rathman, the rookie, they weren't looking for him to get the ball, and Rathman will score. There's the joy expressed by a man scoring his first NFL touchdown, Tom Rathman.
It looked like Rathman actually saw an opening away from the hole. Randy Cross had gone up inside. Rathman didn't follow Cross, and we'll get those replays later after the kick, but breaking 4 tackles on his way into the end zone, showing you some real power as he nosed it in for 6.
Good job on the hold by Morosky just to catch the high snap. 21-3 San Francisco. Tom Rathman's first NFL score.
Higher and higher with those stats.
7 and losing 5 with a tie, have not beaten a team with a winning record all year. So the Jets scalp would be their first in that regard, a quality team, and they have them down 21-3 with less than 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Ray Wersching to kick it off. Bobby Humphrey. 30, 35, 40, and Wersching finally rides him down. He had about a 10-yard time in the saddle, did Wersching, before Humphrey can be dragged down at the 44-yard line.
Nick, let's go back and look at that last play. Interesting development as you watch Cross come around the block. Quillen will block over here, and Rathman starts up here, supposed to go into this hole, sees an opening on this side, and just breaks it out on his own. Watch the play develop now. Baldwin holds his position well. Well, they're going to play one play here, so there's the play anyway that ended up breaking for the touchdown.
Ken O'Brien now in a desperate state goes to Toon. Toon twisting to the 35 of San Francisco. By the way, Rathman not only scoring his first NFL touchdown, the 29-yard run was the longest of the entire year by a San Francisco player.
Coming into today, the longest was what, 25, and they did have a 24-yarder earlier in the day, so they have been breaking some big ones against the Jets, but I think fatigue finally catching up with that Jet defense.
1:05 left in the third. O'Brien guns it to the sideline. Incomplete to Wesley Walker, who slipped in front of Tim McKyer.
This turf a little bit loose in places, and I think it got Wesley Walker as you see him shaking his head. One foot slipped out from underneath him.
Now, we talked about the outstanding pass catchers featured in today's game. Jerry Rice not only 3 for 72, but a long interference call and a couple of holds also against Rice, or he'd be well over 100 yards. O'Brien down the middle, almost intercepted. In fact, number 29, Don Griffin, had better position for the interception than did the intended receiver.
This is a play-action pass, Dick, and what they're trying to do, they're trying to get both of these linebackers to, that's actually Lott over here, they want to get them to bite on the run action. But watch them as they start to play, a little play action right there. They get Ellison to come up in and take on the runner. That opens some room inside, but some miscommunication on the pattern as Walker looked like he was going to the outside, the ball going to the inside.
Toon is way out to the right on 3rd and 10. And they're going for it all, and open is Walker. Incomplete. Walker had beaten his man, but O'Brien couldn't drop it in there. And on 4th and 10, the Jets will probably go for it with 52 seconds left in the third period. A reminder, start your New Year's with us on NBC. Merlin and I will be in Pasadena, California for a renewal of the oldest of the bowls, the Rose Bowl, at 4:30 Eastern Time, as the University of Michigan, once defeated, meets once beaten, once tied Arizona State. The Orange Bowl, then Arkansas and Oklahoma at 8 o'clock, and then on January 2nd, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, for the national title, it'll be Miami against Penn State, the two unbeaten major teams. 4th and 10. Is Jeff Stover.
The Jets offense have been on their back most of the day, and this 49er defense recovering from injuries of their own. Stover has been out with an ankle injury. Carter has been out with an ankle injury. Ronnie Lott out there with two broken fingers, one broken finger and one dislocated finger. They've been coping very well on their own.
Leading 21-3. 49ers take over on downs. And this is Rathman. They go back to the touchdown well again to the rookie, who was picked just before Ruben Mays went to New Orleans. So there's been some criticism here in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, that why did they take Rathman when Mays, a 1,000-yard rusher, was still available, went to New Orleans. So they think that Rathman is going to be the big back that will complement Craig and the Tylers and Craigs in the San Francisco attack. Final seconds of the third quarter. 10 seconds actually still show. And we'll be back at Candlestick Park in San Francisco after these messages from your local station.
Dick, you talked about Rathman's power. Let's go back to that touchdown run and look at the pass, or look at the tackles he breaks. One hand, another hand, a third man, a fourth man, Harry Hamilton. Lester Lyles, one of the early men that missed him. Rathman, obviously the man you've got to put a body on. You don't put an arm on him. He'll just run right through that arm. And they want him to control the football here. The Riggins phenomenon.
He's built like the Riggo. We open the fourth quarter. San Francisco in charge, 21-3. Rathman bowls his way out of bounds at the 43. So the national audience being introduced to rookie Tom Rathman from Nebraska, 232 pounds. At Lincoln, he averaged 6.5 yards every time he carried the ball.
He can run and he can catch. Well, that is very easy for Bill Walsh to talk about that as part of his running game, because he just flares the man out of there. That's a long handoff, and it's tough. You got to wait for those defensive linemen to get on those smaller bodies out there.
Cribbs in motion. Rathman up the middle to about the 38-yard line. Let's look at the statistics through three quarters. Dramatic again. 345 yards for San Francisco. 117 for the Jets, who are stuck on a three-point game. 3 straight games, that's all they've been able to collect is a field goal. And now it's getting serious in the camp of the New York Jets, who at one time appeared to have everything set their way when they were 10-1.
So hard when the momentum and when the machine shuts down. Kind of hard to get it started.
Montana throws that one away. Frank was well covered by Rusty Gilbo.
I think I had a Klecko story for you. Talking to Howie Long, and Howie said last year at the Pro Bowl, he said, I went over there weighing 286 pounds. He said, Klecko was excited to see me, ran over, picked me up with one hand. I said, Howie, no. He said, yes, the strongest man I've ever been around. Klecko lifted him up with one hand at 286 pounds.
Look at those biceps. Looks like he puts his thumb in one of those air hoses at the gas station and just kind of fills them up. Rathman again to the 35-yard line behind the block of Randy Cross, short of the first down. There's your #1 defensive line. Gastineau, Klecko, Lions, 203 career sacks. Rudolph Baldwin Bennett, 31.5. But the fact that the Jets, who were a good sack team, and remember when they used to call them the New York Sack Exchange? Well, this year they have only 25 sacks, and this is the 14th game of the year, so they're not averaging even. Well, you know, Gastineau almost had that many alone in some years.
Gastineau had 22 back in '84.
Some confusion on defense for the Jets, and that's a first down if it counts.
Bubba Paris. I think Bubba Paris shaking his head. I think he may have gotten out a little bit early on that play. A little eager to block. A little eager to block. He's just coming back in the lineup, number 77. Let's see if he doesn't move just before that. Well,
that was a
boy, was he fast. Did you see how fast he was, Dick?
The whole line was. So they take the penalty, and on 4th down now the 49ers will bring in Runninger. Son lets that one fly into the end zone.
Ooh, very close to a beautiful punt.
Timeout. 21-3 San Francisco. With 13 minutes left. To Candlestick Park, where the San Francisco 49ers lead the Jets 21-3. The struggling Jets, 10 wins this year. In their 10 wins, they've averaged nearly 30 points a game. In their 3 previous losses, 4 points a game, and they've scored 3 today. Jets ball at the 20. O'Brien to Schuler at the 31, a first down. The tight end gets 11 yards. He started today with 52 catches.
You sit down and you talk to Jets players and coaches, and you talk to them about the past 2 weeks. An embarrassing game down in Miami when they just really had an awful time and got off to such a horrible start they were out of their game plan early. Last week, a game in which they could have won if they had made some big plays, but offensively, it's a no-go again today.
Larry Roberts joined by Charles Haley, 2 49er rookies.
And they're both players. They'll come at you. That's the 12th sack for Haley on the year. They thought he was going to be a project when they brought him in here. He's really just an oversized linebacker, but he can fly. It's Roberts getting there first, and Haley putting the top on the sandwich, and O'Brien is getting tired of looking at red jerseys.
Well, the 49ers really found a gold mine, no pun intended, in the small college draft this past spring. They developed that after this play. Draw to Freeman McNeil, and he's wrapped up by Jeff Stover. They got Haley in the 4th round from James Madison. Don Griffin, one of the starting corners from Middle Tennessee State. Tim McKyer from Texas Arlington. You don't have to go to the majors to find outstanding talent. The 49ers had a sensational draft because they found the great player in the lesser-known schools. No pun. I went to a small school too, so don't send me a letter. I'm not knocking going to a small school.
Oh, Utah State is not SC either, Dick.
That's right. McNeil back to the 29-yard line. But that brings up 4th and 11.
Won't even get you back to the line of scrimmage, and the punt team onto the field. George Seifert's defense just doing a great job of throttling the Jets. You see there, Joe Walton just wondering what else can go wrong for his team today as they continue on a, I guess, really a mysterious. How do you figure out what this patient has? I mean, you'd like to get some penicillin for him or something.
Griffin collecting that at the 36-yard line with 10 minutes and 40 seconds left in the game. And Joe Walton, the head man of the New York Jets. That was the only game you won your rookie year, wasn't it? Short yardage for the 49ers on first down as they'll try to chew up as much of that clock as they can. Rathman gets the call.
Just an added note on John Brody. Understand that yesterday he qualified for the Seniors Tour. John has turned his attention toward golf, and we wish him the best of luck. His heart's still with these 49ers. He's not only one of their alums, but one of their ardent supporters, and a very strong supporter of Bill Walsh's all the way along.
Always has been.
Yes, he has.
2nd down and 8. Joe Cribbs using his blockers well, out of bounds at the 46 of New York. 16 yards for Cribbs. Johnny Lynn got him out of the field of play.
I said earlier in the day, Dick, that there's one thing I wouldn't want to do, and that's go down there and try and cover some of these great receivers. You look at a story that has got to put a lot of gray hairs in the head of Joe Walton on that sideline. The other thing I wouldn't want to do is try and match game plans with Bill Walsh when everything is going his way. He really can pull some magic out of that list he has in front of him.
Offside, I believe, as Rathman makes the catch and tumbles down to the 33. It appeared that Elvis Franks had lurched offside. If so, the 49ers will take the play. It is against Franks and the Jets, and Rathman's catch was worth much more than 5 yards, and they'll take that down to the 32-yard line.
Offside, 76, decline, 1st down.
I thought it was interesting yesterday to listen to Walsh talk about his preparation of the game plan, the fact that he will script about 25 plays, which he tries to run through in a random order. And then he said, but on the other side of the page, I have all the situations. You probably see the list in his hand. Maybe we can go down and take a peek at it, although, yes, he has it. He wouldn't let it out of his sight.
1st down at the 32. Montana looking for more. Oh, gives it to that big bull of a fullback, Rathman. Kevin MacArthur, 57. Gilbo in on the tackle. There's his game plan.
On one side, the scripted plays, and he said sometimes we'll go back and pick up a piece of that or run them a second time. But one of the things that he firmly believes in is not repeating plays unless something is really working on the inside. A running play, for example, if it's really working, the blocking combination is working, he will go back and repeat it.
2nd and 4. Cribbs wrapped up on a good open field tackle by number 29, Johnny Lynn. We're off to the east for next Saturday at noon. NFL 86 begins the afternoon of football activity, and then we'll have the Jets against the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Lions. So they'll offer the Jets a good test. We'll have that one for you next Saturday afternoon. 9 o'clock on the West Coast. And then on Sunday, we have one outstanding game that we certainly want to call to your attention. Worthing to try a 47-yarder. It's going to be short. That was just a little wedge shot, and the Jets take over on the missed field goal. 7 minutes, 11 seconds left in San Francisco, where the Jets are about to leave their heart. Tonight's game at Seattle are 8-5, and Kansas City stays in the hunt 8-6, as you see Wersching unhappy with that missed field goal from 47. Jets then take over at their 29. A New York Jets team that has been outscored 83-9 in the last 3 games. Is he inbounds? No. Wesley Walker couldn't drag that second foot. And that really is a typical play for the entire day, and they're just off, just missing.
You want to talk about something that will give you nausea if you're a Jets fan. Look at the total yardage on the day. 127 to 300. There's Hecker, Norm Hecker. Look at the signals going in. They've got 200 defenses. I guess he's probably got 200 signals for the sideline. Imagine having to remember 200 signals on the sideline.
Walker, first down at the 45, hit by Carlton Williamson, former star at Pitt on that great team that featured Marino and May, Grimm, Hugh Green, Randy McMillan.
Defensive coach usually will wait until the offense comes out of the huddle or is about ready to come out of the huddle. You see, he's waited until they have called their play, and now he'll call his defense and send it in on the sideline.
In traffic, Toon can't hold on. Incomplete at the 38. Don Griffin on the coverage. Bill Walsh was very high in praise of those two young cornerbacks, Griffin and McKyer. He said that they have made some mistakes. The Giants game was an example. Stacy Robinson breaking free for a key touchdown. But he said, I really feel comfortable about where we're going with those two young kids at the corners in the future.
They're not only good athletes, but they're students of the game. They work at it. And good attitudes as well.
O'Brien to Toon, breaking a tackle and then knocked out of bounds. The ball is still in possession of the Jets on the fumble at the 43. A 12-yard gain for Toon. Keena Turner, the tackler. That's Toon's third catch.
Toon coughing this football up as it's burped out of his hands at the end of this play, but twisting away on the sideline, and there's the shot by Keena Turner. But he had control of the football, and he had achieved the first down before the fumble.
And Toon's catch sets an New York Jet record, 77 in a season, breaking Schuler's mark. O'Brien can't find McNeil as he had to unload with Charles Haley on his back. Haley is 6'5" and 230 from James Madison, a fourth-round pick. And as Merlin mentioned, not only the 11 sacks for Haley,
12
but
now.
He's forced, well, if you give him that last one, I'm not sure he gets that one.
Get it. I'm sorry.
But he's forced 4 fumbles, and I think that's a statistic often overlooked. You get a man that is making that ball cough. People always give credit to the man who recovers the fumble. It's the guy forcing it loose, and he's led the 49ers with 4 this year.
It's in the middle of the stack, forcing the action. You're absolutely right about that.
O'Brien. Oh, that should be a penalty, and there comes the flag. The contact was before the ball arrived.
Pass interference, number 22, first down.
Jim McKyer there too soon. You see 22 with Sohn, 87 on the right of your picture, and
clearly bumping an action before the ball arrived.
Automatic first down at the 37.
Someone else warming up on the sideline.
Jeff Kemp. Whoops. Before the snap, contact. Ken O'Brien.
Number 53, first down.
Yep, more.
You just can't, you just feel that everything is disintegrating on the Jets side of the offensive line.
Well, a good team has something to do with that, the 49ers, but the Jets have beaten some good clubs this year, including Denver and New England, Seattle, Miami. McKyer makes the hit on Toon at the 30-yard line after an 11-yard gain.
Jets coaches have been reluctant to put a great deal of blame on O'Brien. They said that, hey, he's got to have help, he's got to have support out there, but O'Brien today, I think, at the root of a great deal of their problem, as he was inaccurate in his early throwing, has not really been able to create plays, to make things happen. When things go sour, you need a quarterback to lift you.
There's a case in point, the ball thrown behind the receiver. Walker, had that ball been another step in front, Walker with his speed might have been taking off, but instead he had to reach back, incomplete.
Interesting, too, that if O'Brien stays at less than 50%, it will be the first time ever that he's done that in a game.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the San Francisco 49ers and the National Football League is prohibited. O'Brien underneath, this time to Sohn inside the San Francisco 20 for a first down, a dozen yards on that throw.
As you read that disclaimer, I was just thinking that the Jets players would probably be in favor of burning all the film of this game.
Much less replay it without permission. 4:55 left in the fourth. 21-3 San Francisco. O'Brien to Schuler. And he's dropped at the 8-yard line, maybe the 7. Ronnie Lott made the hit. 12 more yards for O'Brien, but the 49ers are giving him the short pass. Jets trying to hurry it up, trying to get something other than a field goal.
Finally, they call him back to the huddle. Got to believe that they need to get a touchdown on the board.
Well, they just missed last week. Walker looked to have a touchdown, and Jerry Gray made that tremendous hit, forced the fumble. The Rams cornerback. What a play by Williamson as he drops the fullback Tony Page.
Good read by Williamson. I think the Jets hoping that Page would just kind of pop loose underneath all of that action. Williamson buying none of it. Rich Kotite upstairs calling down plays to Walton and making suggestions. There aren't good plays at this time of the game when things are going as sour as they are for the Jet offense.
3.5 minutes left. 21-3 deficit staring at the Jets. Wide open McNeil, touchdown. Freeman McNeil. And you could almost see as he caught the ball, the way he collapsed his body as if to say, huh, it's about time.
That's a long drought, believe me. Time, the key there. Brad Radakovich has a little bit of a sigh of relief as his line did a good job of protecting Kenny O'Brien. Plenty of time for McNeil to break loose, and somebody obviously had dropped the coverage.
So the Jets finally unlock that touchdown safe and break through for 7, but with 3:25 left, they still trail.
This is Coach Joe.
Here's the first 3 quarters of the season and then the last 4 weeks. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells you that they've kind of been burning themselves out. Earlier this year, the hottest team in football, winning in spite of all their injuries. But they have shut down with a vengeance these last 3 games. And this touchdown, I'm sure, giving some temporary relief. And got to believe we're going to see an onside kick here. They've got to get their hands back on the football.
They have their 3 timeouts left, but need obviously 2 possessions to entertain any hope of overcoming shift that way. And the 49ers able to move up and cover it out at the 47. Russ Francis alertly not waiting behind the line once the ball's kicked, can make his move, and the Jets had no chance at a recovery.
Not a good onside kick. The ball had not traveled 10 yards, and I believe would have gone out of bounds without traveling 10 yards. So Leahy not doing what he had hoped to do with that ball. When you kick that onside kick, what you hope to do is get that nasty jump, that nasty hop on that ball. It'll send it up, give your people a chance to get their hands on it.
Well, the 49ers have it at the Jets 43. Montana stays in at quarterback. There's Rice, and the bounce at the 29-yard line with 14 more yards. He leads the NFL in receiving yardage and adds another 14.
He is not disappointed on the day.
86 yards on 4 catches. Games remaining. Nothing easy for either team, really. Jets at home against Pittsburgh, an improving team, and then at Cincinnati. And the Bengals obviously will be playing very hard in that important game. And San Francisco still has to go after New England next Sunday, and then the Rams at home are on the following Friday. Rice, that should put him over 100 yards or close to it. That'll be 10 more and makes 96 for Rice. And again, if you haven't been with us, there were 2 or 3 other plays in which the Jets had to interfere with him or hold him to stop him from even bigger gains.
I talked with him at practice yesterday. A very bright young man, and I said, how do you feel about man-to-man coverage? He said, I love it because I can beat anybody they put on me. He doesn't lack for confidence.
Now you see, going against the Rams, who have to play Miami and San Francisco and Dallas tonight at Anaheim. And the Cowboys still trying to stay in the playoff picture. Rathman down to the 16 with 3:04 showing on the clock, and it's running.
You flash back a week for these San Francisco 49ers, actually 6 days to the control they had of that Giants game. Had they won that game, and of course appearing that they are going to walk away with this one, they would have been in such great position with an opportunity then to control things themselves, knowing they would have the Rams at the end of the season. But not now. They've got to hope to get in the back door or hope for some help.
Chicago is in, and now it becomes the, if it goes as it is tonight, right now, Washington then is the wild card, and whom would they play as the other wild card? Well, the 49ers are saying they hope it's them. But Minnesota has won 8-6. They're right there a half length back, and if Dallas should upset the Rams, they'd be a half back. And there's the log jam with the best records in the American side.
Something else to think about, though, Dick, is the way these teams are playing. Not the way they got to those records, but the way they're playing right now. And the Jets and Denver, both cold the last couple of weeks and not playing well. Over in the NFC, the Redskins not dominating in that game today in particular. I think a lot of people expecting them to blow the Giants out at home, but the Giants surprised a lot of folks.
And you know the team that no one seems to be talking about that I think has a pretty good chance?
Cleveland.
How about the Chicago Bears? Anyone remember them? They just quietly going along 12-2 with the best defense in football. But now that the refrigerator isn't quite the household exciting name that he was a year ago, and Jim McMahon's gone, everyone has kind of ignored them. All the attention is focused elsewhere, and the Bears just quietly going along at 12-2. '49ers may be doing the Jets a favor with the incomplete pass, because that does at least extend the time of this game. 3rd down. Rathman to the 15. And the clock continues to run unless the Jets want to use their second timeout.
You mentioned the refrigerator, Dick. The refrigerator really owes his career as much as anything to Guy McIntyre.
That's right, number 62 in red of the 49ers, McIntyre.
When Bill Walsh put McIntyre in the backfield against the Chicago Bears, Mike Ditka was so incensed that the next opportunity he had against this team, he put the refrigerator in the backfield, and he scored. And then he had to follow up by keeping him in the backfield, so it didn't sound like a childish prank. There's Wersching going onto the field now. We told you about his ritual. He will not look at the goalpost. Now, when he gets out there, he will pick his spot. But sometimes Morosky will argue with him about where they're going to put the ball down. You see the hand on the shoulder? Little hand on the shoulder. Say, you got to help me with this one. Always the same ritual for him as he goes out there. Now, he's picked his spot. See him stepping down and finding his spot there with his foot? Let's see if Morosky likes the spot. Sometimes he changes it. Kickers are a strange breed, to say the least.
Yeah, they do kind of stride on the other side of the street, and they keep one wheel in the sand. Wersching,
holder, and kicker.
This one will be from 33 yards. And Wersching has it. So at 2 minutes and 31 seconds left, the 49ers improved their lead to 14. Let's look at all the scores of this, the 13th week of the season, and some surprises today. About cold teams, that has to be the hottest team. The Giants, they've won all those close ones, and then they beat a very good Redskin team at home today. Cincinnati coming back from a heartbreaker at Denver last week and upset New England. Cleveland stays a game in front of Cincinnati with their victory. Denver, and just like the Jets, they're shaking some heads up there in Mile High country. Chicago pounds Tampa Bay, and Doug Flutie debuted impressively. Walter Payton, 1 touchdown rushing away from Jim Brown. He's got 105 with 1 rushing today. Miami evens its record at 7-all. Minnesota, a team that Jerry Burns has got to get a lot of votes for Coach of the Year. He's done a great job with the Vikings. They're only a half game behind the 49ers, and Pittsburgh wins. Overtime, 10-all, 10-minute ticker banner.
Well, we have one. They got their own.
That's the West Coast Weissmans right there. You can see there they are. Good to have them with us. And Indianapolis celebrates, or at least gives a new coach a chance to celebrate Ron Meyer with a win. And San Diego is beating up on Houston down in San Diego 27-0. Wersching to Humphrey. And Humphrey to the 22-yard line. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. A reminder tonight here on NBC. Stay tuned. 49ers 24, the Jets 10. O'Brien to McNeil. Incomplete. McNeil was looking for the ball and at the same time sensing Tim McCarr was going to come over and plant one on him and may have been distracted. Well, that really reflects the way the game's gone. 24-10 sounds closer than it really has been.
There's some real questions to be asked in New York. This is a funny game, this game of football, and it's a game where you live on 7-day life cycles, a chance to come back after the ugliest defeat and be a winner. And I think everyone expected the Jets to respond this week. They have not done it.
49ers have. That is their 4th sack of the game. Michael Carter and Larry Roberts will share it. Clock running to 07 showing. 49ers have 11 men on the field. They're running people in and out. And O'Brien does not get it off before the 2-minute timeout. Credit that last sack to Larry Roberts. The rookie gets his 2nd of the game. History is made here at Candlestick Park, San Francisco, because it's time for our Most Valuable Player Award, sponsored by Budweiser, and it goes to an offensive lineman, and he represents all of those that are ignored throughout the National Football League week after week. Randy Cross, the All-Pro from UCLA for the San Francisco 49ers. Budweiser makes a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVP selected in today's games.
There's something very positive in that, too, because sometimes being a leader means saying things that are not going to be popular and doing things that are not going to be popular. He took a stand this week and said, we've got to get our fans into the game, get them to make some noise, get them off their duffs. And he insulted them in the process.
And they were.
And they were, and it helped. And they responded.
But he got a lot of bad mail.
Well, he'll continue to get it, too. They won't forgive him for a while.
And some negative press. Schuler wrapped up at the 24-yard line, and that'll bring up 4th down.
I'm sure that Joe Walton would like to find as easy a solution for the Jets' problems, but when you look at them, there is no easy solution for them.
Flag down, and I believe that's going to be against San Francisco for delaying.
Encroachment, number 95.
Well, the same thing. Carter was just slow getting back, and of course that's what the defense does when they're trying to make the offense use up the clock, and the official had spotted the ball, and Carter had not gotten back on his side of the line of scrimmage and is called for the encroachment. It's still 4th down and 2. Dandy Randy Cross. How about that? The MVP. O'Brien. Walker intercepted. Jeff Fuller. He fumbles and recovers. San Francisco has it wrapped up.
San Francisco had already set a record for interceptions, and that stretches it even further on the day.
First time that Ken O'Brien has been held under 50% in his young NFL career. No touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Maybe we can add those numbers to the numbers of the last 3 weeks, which were not, even against Indianapolis in his win there, he was not strong. You watch that one just hanging and hanging in the air. Fuller doing a good job of getting there to reach that ball, almost giving it back.
Jeff Kemp, who did an outstanding job filling in for Joe Montana during his back problem times. Comes in at quarterback. Kemp from Dartmouth, number 9. As we mentioned earlier, that 49ers have finally beaten a team with a winning record, and that'll be encouraging to Bill Walsh. Not to say they weren't close, as they had the Giants on the mat but couldn't finish them off on Monday night, and they lost 10-6 to Washington. Well, if not Stu, it was at least Bouillabaisse. 49er defense really made it tough on Ken O'Brien. Tom Rathman, a day that you'll remember fondly, scoring his first NFL touchdown, gets another call with 35 seconds left. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Weissman. Coordinating producer of NBC football coverage, Ted Nathanson. Coordinating producer of NFL 86 is John Filippelli. Today's telecast from San Francisco, produced by Larry Cirillo, directed by Harry Coyle. NFL 86 produced by Tom Roy, directed by Bucky Gunts. Technical directors Ray Figelski, Sal Nagita, thanks to Joe Costanza, Jim Walker, Steve Etter, Rick Frank, Dennis Kennelly. The San Francisco 49ers win their 8th of the year against 5 losses, 24-10, and Joe Walton will try to regroup. A team that set a Jets record 9 straight wins earlier has suddenly fallen to 3 defeats, and all 3 were real pounding.
How cold is cold, and how long will it take that plane to get back to New York?
49ers 2 away from the playoffs, and the Jets starting to worry. Well, the New York Jets with a win today looked at a wild card at least. The New England Patriots were in the same boat. They both were defeated. Denver also on top in the West, beaten. The team that really gained ground today, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. They were the lost sister in the AFC until now.
It's called lumping. They're all
stadium. For aficionados of offensive daring, there was a silver lining in the form of All-Pro Mike Quick. Quick's one-handed gem set up a field goal, and when unpredictable Randall Cunningham scored early in the 4th quarter, Philadelphia led 10-3. With under 3 minutes left, the Eagles had to guard against the bomb. But when Dwayne Giles was picked up by Earl Farrell on another blitz, Lomax and Roy Green beat single coverage, and the game spilled over into overtime. Green's 48-yard touchdown catch forced frustrated fans to sit through a 5th quarter of ragged play, botched opportunities, and 3 missed field goals, 2 by the Cardinals and 1 by the Eagles after this long strike to Quick. The game ended in a 10-10 overtime deadlock. And if December 7th, 1941 was a day that will live in infamy, December 7th, 1986 is a day that will live in infamy over and over for frustrated Buddy Ryan.
When in that Eagle-Cardinal ball game, we had 2 coaches that were really contrasted with each other.
5 years. When Seattle quarterback Dave Craig hit Steve Largent with a 10-yard scoring pass in the first period, it marked the beginning of the end for the Silver and Black. Kurt Warner, the AFC's leading rusher, followed with a 5-yard touchdown run on his way to a 116-yard gain. The Raiders' offense proved as ineffective as their defense. LA quarterbacks Jim Plunkett, Mark Wilson, and Rusty Hilger were sacked 11 times by the Seahawks, who added 3 interceptions. The Raiders managed a grand total of 138 yards of offense, while the Seahawks continued to run up the score in the second half. After Raymond Butler caught a 12-yard touchdown pass from Craig, Kurt Warner added his 2nd touchdown of the game. 3 Norm Johnson field goals brought Seattle's point total to 37, while the Raiders were shut out for the first time since October 1981. Bouncing back from a mid-season slump, the Seahawks are 8-6 and back in the race with the Raiders for the last wild card berth in the AFC.
Love to play in the Kingdome. They love to get their fans. You can at least show up.
I didn't beat you this week, though, Lenny. We're 8-5-1. You know, that was a break. But on
That's
the
like
season,
a loss
on the
to me.
season, you're going to have to really do a lot better than you have.
Maybe I go to Howie and get his selections.
You got to pick the Kansas City Chiefs one week. They're on a roll, buddy.
I know it. I forgot to pick them last week. Here we go with the selections. Pittsburgh and the New York Jets. We've been talking about the Jets and the problems they've had offensively, injuries on their defense. Pittsburgh is playing better, but I just have the feeling that the New York Jets are going to put something together offensively this week.
Yeah, well, they're putting something defensively. Klecko's going to start, and there's a very good chance that Marty Lyons might play this week. So defensively, I know they're going to be a better football team. They're playing at home. I also take the Jets. Washington travels to Denver. Now, here are teams that are really struggling right now. The Denver Broncos in terrible loss. Washington struggled against the Giants. I'm going to take Denver at home. Why don't you take Washington?
I am going to take Washington for course.
John Elway, get your butt in gear and do some passing there,
son. Well, I'll tell you, Buffalo, Indianapolis. Hey, 1 in a row for Ron Meyer.
I think they're going to make it 2 in a row, don't you?
No, I don't. I think Buffalo.
Try to trick Buffalo also.
Here's a big game coming
Cleveland travels to Cincinnati. I'll tell you, big offensive week last week for Cincinnati. Cleveland, though, really, they need it more than anybody else. But you know something? I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals at home.
A lot of teams need it for Cleveland to win. Kansas City needs it. The Raiders need it for Cleveland to win.
So who are you taking?
I'm taking Cincinnati. They are on a roll, almost 600 yards against the Patriots. Cincinnati at home. Green Bay and Tampa Bay.
You're taking Green Bay, so am I. Kansas City travels to the Los Angeles Raiders. Now, this game here, now, you know the Chiefs real well. They had a real good game. Blackledge played well. They didn't play great last week. Defense played super. The Raiders, I just can't believe. I think there's going to be Raider pride. Isn't it pride and poise? Isn't that what they say about the Raiders?
Something commitment.
I take the Raiders this week.
I'm going to tell you something. Kansas City's doing something for the first time in years. They're going out to the West Coast early because it's the first time this late in the year they've been involved in a big, big game. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs to make it 2 in a row, although they've had a difficult time doing that all year long. Miami at Los Angeles against the Rams. The Rams, I was just talking about that secondary, and I think they're going to be able to handle Marino. Los Angeles.
I take the Rams also. Minnesota travels to Houston. I've taken the Vikings. They're 8-6. They're still in the playoff picture. I like the way they play.
Minnesota's my selection. New Orleans at Atlanta. What happened to Atlanta?
They got beat by Indianapolis.
I understand that. Now, you talk about somebody about humiliated and playing for pride, but I'm going to go with New Orleans.
I'm going with New Orleans also. Philadelphia travels to Dallas. I'll tell you, the Dallas Cowboys are really not playing good football. Philadelphia's not playing good football. I'm going to take the Cowboys at home. That's the only reason.
Dallas also. Dorsett and Herschel Walker got to get something.
59 yards together.
St.
Louis travels to the New...
Wait. St. Louis and the Giants.
Well, the Giants, they've got the thing wrapped. San Francisco travels to New England. Another tough ball game. Again, I think if Craig James can come back and give a little running game back to New England offense. They're playing at home. They've been humiliated last week. I'll take New England at home.
Patriots gave up almost 600 yards against Cincinnati, and I know that Joe Montana can throw it. San Francisco, Seattle at San Diego. On Seattle because I'm assuming that they're going to play like
Seattle also. Chicago travels to Detroit. Again, Flutie, great defense.
Whatever makes a difference.
Chicago
defense. You got it, Chicago. Yeah. There you have it. Those are our selections. That's our show for this week.
Michigan Wolverines take on the Wisconsin Badgers live from Camp Randall Stadium. The action begins on TNT at 7 o'clock Eastern. Michigan won today, beating Florida State 20-18, but Wisconsin lost to Wyoming 21-12. For Paul Hornung, this is Mel Proctor saying so long from Los Angeles. Tonight's game has been brought to you by the U.S. Armed Forces. It's a great place to start. And by Stroh's and Stroh's Light. Now you're talking good times, and Stroh's is spoken here.
And brought to you by the people who make glass containers naturally, and by Winchester. Get ready for the hunting season. Load up with the legend, Winchester.
Final score once again from Los Angeles, USC defeating Washington by a score of 20-10. And for Paul Hornung, this is Mel Proctor. Good night, everybody.
This has been a presentation of Turner Network Television.
Today's small cars are tougher than ever on oil. Their high-compression engines not only rev high, they can run hotter than regular small car engines. Their searing heat can begin to break down an oil immediately. That's why there's Castrol, the only leading motor oil that in every grade provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol before your engine does something to get you heated up. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Oh, those Hollywood nights. Those star-studded movies every weeknight in October on Superstation WTBS. To Catch a Thief, A Touch of Class, The Shakiest Gun in the West, Roustabout, Pillow Talk, Splendor in the Grass, The Revengers, World War III. Weeknights are looking so right on those Hollywood nights. And that's every weeknight in October on Superstation WTBS. When the clock says 8:05 Eastern, be sure to check your listings for the Hollywood Nights feature.